morning, friends. Welcome back to Disabled Farm School. I'm Rachel. That's Juniper the dog. I don't think you can see her. And today we are planting peanuts in containers. We're going to get into the why of why grow peanuts in containers and why grow anything in containers in general in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the what we're doing today, so you can get right into it if you're following along. These are peanut seedlings. These are collards and kale, but they're on the same tray. And if you watched, or if you go back and watch the video on this channel where I talk about how to start your garden for free or cheap, you'll remember that we planted peanuts that we bought raw in shell from the grocery store into toilet paper tubes with potting soil in them. And they are doing awesome. In fact, I have left them for too long. They are past ready to be planted. I'm hoping that they aren't stunted from being in here too long. I think they've mostly just grown through the now disintegrating toilet paper tubes. We're gonna get them way more spaced out in some pretty hefty containers. They like hot weather and they do tend to like humidity, which we don't have a ton of here. However, I think if I keep them well watered against this west facing wall where it gets very hot, especially in the afternoons in the summer here, they might do okay. If you are starting from scratch, you can order peanuts as seed, or you can get, I get organic just to make sure they're not sprayed with anything that will keep them from growing, in shell peanuts from the grocery store, from the bulk section, and snack on most of them and put the rest in the ground. We're gonna take these seedlings, we're going to fill our containers with loose, rich potting soil. So I've got some that I bought in here because that was what was most accessible for me right now. You can also make your own. There's another video talking about basic recipe for how to do that on this channel. We're gonna plant them probably 3 or 4 seedlings to a container because they really do spread out each plant. So less is more. I tend to overcrowd crops in containers and then they don't grow as much. I think it's really easy to underestimate how much space food plants actually need. It's not just the practicality of how much space they need to take up. They can also sense if they're close to things. If you've ever planted 2 of the same thing too close to each other and then you got like very small broccoli, it's because they know that if they go into each other's, they do in their way of knowing, if they go into each other's space, they're going to be competing for sunlight. Just like we need space, plants need space. So let's do it. One of the things I like about containers that we'll talk more about in a second is you can change the level. So if working in front of you on the ground doesn't work well for you, put the container up on a table. And if pouring the potting soil the way I'm about to do doesn't work for you, scoop it. Let's plant some peanuts. Our potting soil in our containers and our dog at our side. My dog. I say we, I'm talking about you and me. So welcome to my patio. I picked very large containers. I think this one's a 20 gallon. They might both be 20 gallons. That is, are we choking? What are we choking on? If it's your own snot, that's great. As long as it's not a foxtail. Are we choking on a foxtail? Is this gonna be how to take your service dog to the emergency vet? I don't really want that to be this video. We good? Okay. We're almost done cutting the grass. It doesn't look like it in the footage or in my current view, but we actually are almost done. Anyway, summer is here, y'all. Happy solstice, or something solstice, I don't know. Happy is maybe too aspirational for this moment in the world. I've got my container. I'm going to take my seedlings. Now, if you leave your toilet paper tube seedling for too long, it may not lift out as a whole seedling. It may sort of fall apart. So let's try this. Got my peanuts here. Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to take one out. Ooh, they're so slimy. Yeah, they're definitely ready. Look at that. I'm actually gonna peel, this is more intact than I thought, so I'm actually gonna peel the cardboard off just a little bit so more roots are exposed, like this. Will that focus? Yeah. You don't have to do this. It will disintegrate on its own once it's in the soil, but I want to give them a jump start. So that's cool the way that fell apart. So you can see the original peanut right here. Can you? Yeah, there it is. And then here's the roots. So we've got our seedling. I'm gonna play the game. How much of each gardening supply can Rachel get on the camera without making the camera non-functional? I've got the soil, and I'm gonna just go ahead and pop one of these in here. So I make my hole, put it in there, bury it up to the beginning of the branches, the stems. There it is. I think I'll just put 3 in here because I want to give them each about 8 inches of space. Okay, they're in. I put 3 in the narrower container and 4 in the wider one. That may be too much. This year will be an experiment to find out how well this works. Growing peanuts and sort of how much I can estimate I can get from each container. The dream is to eventually make my own peanut butter from my own peanuts that I've grown. A cool trick, you may have seen me measuring like this. Learning the distances on your own body of various body parts can be really helpful in gardening and farming, or in any DIY, honestly. So I know that my relaxed spread here is about 8 inches, 6 to 8. So when I know that a crop needs 6 to 8 inches of spacing, I can measure it that way. I am experimenting in containers where they have a lot of depth spacing, and I may have overcrowded them. I don't know. We're gonna try this. And then if I have extra soil, because I definitely have extra seedlings, I can try another container that just has 1 in it, maybe a smaller container, like a 5-gallon. So why do this, right? Versus in the ground. For me, there are 3 main reasons. 1, the amount of infrastructure that I have to put into the ground to keep crops from getting eaten by gophers and birds is very expensive and very labor intensive, and especially because it's on a very steep hill, it's not very accessible for me. This is way faster, easier, and cheaper, even though I bought the potting soil, because I didn't buy a bunch of wire mesh to put under, and I didn't have to build a structure over it. Although we'll see if the birds come for these. They haven't come for the seedlings so far, so I'm gonna leave them uncovered for now. But if they start coming for the above ground parts, I'll replant and build a container. Like I said, experimental year. Second reason, other than just all of the intensive sort of expenses, physically, accessibility wise, and financially and time wise of growing these in ground here, is the ergonomics, right? The containers are actually easier to plant in than the ground in some ways for a lot of people, especially because you can adjust height as well as angle, all of these things. And they're right by my back door, which makes taking care of them way more accessible. So location is also part of it. Getting to the flat part of the hill, or the flat enough to garden part of the hill, so that I don't have to do all the labor of terracing before I put all that other infrastructure in, that sort of rodent and bird exclusion infrastructure, is up at the top of the hill, right? If I need to be keeping an eye on these and watering them a lot because they do like water, then I've got to be feeling well enough and not dizzy, not having tachycardia, all of the symptoms that I might deal with, to get up there. So container gardening means I can bring the plants closer to me so that on my lower capacity days, the plants don't die. And I remember them because they are in my direct line of sight for daily activities like letting the dog out the back door. So I don't have to worry about tracking as much I'm using the location of them to cue me to take care of them. The third reason is also kind of ergonomics and accessibility, but at the other end of the growth cycle. Growing tubers in containers makes harvest a lot simpler, especially if digging in ground standing up isn't accessible for you. But even if it is, and you may remember this from the potato video, getting all of your underground crop out of the ground, if it's not like a carrot where you just pull it, if you have to dig for it, can be really difficult with a shovel without cutting through your crop. Or in the case of peanuts, missing a bunch of them because they're little, right? So you have to dig really deep. You're trying to find all of the peanuts, trying to get them all out of there. With the container, you know exactly where they are, if any grew. Please, 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 let some grow. You know exactly where they are, and all you have to do to get them out is turn the container over either into a wheelbarrow, into another container, onto the ground, or like sift through it with your hands, pour the soil out on your driveway, whatever you want to do, so that you can just find them really easily. You know they're in there. You know they're not somewhere else. You can adjust the ergonomics of harvest, and you can adjust the simplicity of the harvest by growing them in containers. There's also, and I guess this is sort of number 4, I talked about this before, the microclimate of like putting them in a spot. You can move the containers around to find a good spot for them. Those are my sort of accessibility reasons. Again, accessibility can mean financial, temporal, like time, like physical, both ergonomic and energy and like function and capacity, proximity, all of those things. And there's a lot of other reasons right now that I want to grow storage crops in containers for myself and my community. Container gardening, as we've talked about throughout this container gardening series, is a more accessible way of gardening for a lot of people who don't have in-ground garden access, who maybe have a patio or a balcony or a window box. It's also less investment in permanent infrastructure. So if you're a renter or if you are in a very uncertain moment in life, which a lot of people are right now because of threats of kidnapping, deportation, all sorts of things that mean that people have to be really conscious of being agile and able to move quickly, containers are a lot easier to take with you. Now is a really great time to garden wherever you can, even if you just have a little bit of space, because, and we'll talk more about this in other videos, but a lot of people are afraid to go to the grocery store because they are in danger. A lot of your neighbors may be staying home, choosing between the safety of their family and being able to feed their family right now. So the more that we can grow food for ourselves and each other at our homes, the more we're increasing our community resilience and care right now. And peanuts are a nice one also because they store. So you can grow a bunch of them and then eat off of them for a while. And I'm thinking about that with a lot of my container gardening right now is storage crops. We've got the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, and now we've got the peanuts. And those also create a depth of resilience in uncertain times because you've got storage. So if the store's closed or the store is out of something or you can't go to the store because it's not safe, having storage crops prolongs your cushion as a household, but also as a community in your neighborhood, in your city, in your town. So growing storage crops for your community fridge, right? If I have extra peanuts and I make peanut butter, I can take it to the community fridge and it's shelf stable. So that's why I'm growing peanuts in containers. And I hope you are thinking about trying it too, because honestly, they're really, really cute plants and I love peanuts. Okay, that was a lot. Are you pacing yourself today? It's really hard to do, especially when everything's so intense. Let's take a rest break. Maybe enjoy a little bit of our peanut dreams as part of our rest break. I'll show you what I mean in a second. It's so cute. How'd you do it? Teach us your ways. No? Okay. Did you rest? It's really hard to rest for a lot of us, even when we really need it, especially when we need it. Especially when it doesn't feel like a choice. Non-consensual resting. It's like I want to fight anti-rest culture, and I want resting to be a thing on days when I choose it. Having conditions that mean that I have to rest whether I feel like resting mentally or not, and where rest doesn't always make me feel better, sort of adds a complication to the whole thing. But we can talk about that later. It's time for the real talk section of the video. I might do this in every video. Let me know in the comments if you like it. I don't ever know exactly how personal I want to be in these. I really, really love showing y'all what I'm up to in the garden and nerding out about it. I love talking about community resilience, pragmatic hope. Talking about my personal experience and life on the internet is something that I definitely have boundaries around, which I think is good. I'm still finding exactly where those are. I've had a very tough few weeks, and I have also had a very privileged few weeks compared to what many people in my community, in my state, in my city, in my neighborhood have been going through, and what many people abroad have been going through, and just people all over the US or in relationship with the US in any way, which is most of the world at this point. My tough few weeks, besides the sort of like impending fury and terror at the rise of fascism and the way that is affecting real people every day, it's not unrelated amongst all the other things that are being cut. Protections for disabled folks that were fought for very, very hard, very recently politically. Go watch Crip Camp if you haven't. Incredible film, documentary about the history of the creation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and sit in disabled activists who, just incredibly tenacious activists to try and get protections for what is at this point more than a quarter of the population, right? The estimate used to be a quarter of the population has a disability, and now it's higher. And a lot of that's because of COVID and the long-term impacts of COVID. And a lot of it's because of other diseases. And a lot of it's because of war and the long-term impacts of war, right? War is always about disability. A lot of it is from the interactions of our farm worker injustice in our nation's food supply and prison injustices. And I'll talk more about those in other videos because I think they're really important things to know about, and to know about where our food comes from, and to think about how, as we shift growing food into the sort of sovereign, hyper-local community as much as we can, we regain some agency over the justice of our supply chains, reduce the harm done, but also wanting to do that in ways that honor those workers and those laborers. That's been on my mind. A lot's been on my mind. I'm sure a lot's been on yours. It's part of why I'm so rambly right now. The other reason I had a tough 3 weeks related to disability stuff, which is related to everything, which is related to land, which is related to racial justice, which is related to everything. Everything is about people in place. Our food is the connection, or one of the main connections between people in place. Air and water, also some of those. Housing, also some of those. So when we work at and play at and create at this nexus, even if we do just very simple things alone in our houses, with our communities, with our neighbors, or for our communities at our own pace because we're disabled and maybe we can't be together in real time, which might be why you're watching this video, we have some small amount of pragmatic, tangible activity. Even if that activity is laying in bed watching a plant grow, or watching me grow a plant, or listening to me talk, because a lot of us don't have physical access to activity. The other reason it's been tough, related to all of that, but specific to me, is that I've been going through a medication change for one of the medications that I take, and it has really, really increased the part of the month that I'm usually flared anyway. Plus I missed the 1 week that I'm usually not flared, usually being in the past 6 months. It's very new for me to have enough capacity to do the things that I've been doing on this channel consistently. So I spent most of last week in bed. I don't remember most of it. It's really wild having experienced life as like semi-bed bound at times, semi-housebound at times, not at all housebound at other times, to go in between those. And it just really makes me think of all of you out there who are in varying different states of those for varying different reasons. I'm thinking of you, and I love you. So I've been feeling like the worst I've felt physically in like a year. And the premise for launching this channel was that I was doing better enough to go back to work. Enough. Not full-time, but like almost full-time, 4 days a week. Not being able to work plus feeling super, super nauseous. Every time I drive a car, my ears plugging up and like all my vestibular symptoms getting triggered. Not being able to do my physical therapy that keeps my spine stabilizer muscles and strong enough to keep my hypermobility from affecting my cervical spine and brain stem, which then affects all of my neurological symptoms. Noticing that this medication, which is not for my endometriosis, does in fact seem to suppress some of the pain from having endometriosis. So that's coming back a little bit. It's been rough. And then not being able to work on the channel and on my larger offerings in the world has felt really scary and discouraging because growth is slow right now. And all of you who are here are my heroes. We launched this channel in February and we're at 150, I think, might be 149 subscribers, which is like, I'm so touched and excited. I really want to keep doing this. It is the only thing I've tried over the last 6 years that I've actually been able to mostly sustainably keep doing. It's clear that in order to continue to take care of myself medically, I'm going to have to be able to take a week or two off from work so that I can work on dealing with symptoms. But I think that I can batch videos going forward in a way that allows me to not miss weeks of posting. Mostly, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm excited, but I'm scared that this is never going to bring in income. And I don't know if I can keep doing it if it doesn't. But I really, really want to. I love being a business owner. I love so many things about it. I kind of feel like I would do better if I just had a storefront in a busy place where I could say, look, here's what I'm offering, and people would just walk by and see it. But that's not how the internet works. It's not how social media works anymore. Social media used to work that way a little bit more, like it was like a bulletin board. If you are watching this and you like it, could you tell one friend about it? Just like send him a message right now, send him the link. If we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers by 2026, I will know that there is enough momentum here that I can probably eventually get some income from this. 1,000 subscribers is YouTube's cutoff for any ad revenue going to the creator, and it's most outside sponsors cut off for offering us as video creators sponsorships on products. Now, I will always be very, very careful about any sponsorships I take in the future because there is so much taking advantage of disabled people, especially with products that are expensive and don't actually help. Let me know in the comments if there are products you'd like me to review, not sponsored now, so we can start to see like what is helping people out in their disabled homesteads. If any of those products turn out to be things that you like or that I like, then in the future, maybe they'll sponsor the channel. The most helpful thing you can do if you're willing to help, and you don't have to, is to share about the channel. To share videos and to watch videos and to comment on videos, especially in the first 24 hours after they post, to play them through. YouTube counts views. The way that YouTubers make a living is by having enough subscribers that then we are basically selling time in our videos, right? Like any other media, it's advertising. That's how media generally has made money historically, especially like television media. I'll always be really clear when anything is an ad. I'll never be trying to trick you. You can help me as a disabled person earn a living again and share information for free in a moment when our communities really need this information. And a lot of us in the disabled and chronically ill community really need the camaraderie and community of asynchronous video because we may not be able physically to be together. So if you think that's valuable and you're willing to share about the channel, watch the videos early, and like and comment, even if the comment just says like, what'd you have for breakfast today? I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. The other part of Real Talk I addressed a little bit earlier, but I just want to say we are here to fight fascism and build a good future together. I'm really focused on what can we do now, even if doing just means being together here, but also moving the agency and creativity of life's basic necessities back into the hands of our communities. That's food, water, shelter, air, and one of the main things you can do about air and air safety is wear a mask. Wear a mask in public. Protect your disabled, immunocompromised elder, people who aren't disabled yet but are about to be disabled if you accidentally have COVID and don't know it, and give it to them. They might be about to become chronically ill, and you could save their quality of life forever by wearing a mask in public spaces. We can do a lot. Protect your neighbors. Offer to go grocery shopping for them if you think that they might be in danger going to the grocery store right now. Protect your trans and queer friends and community. Even if they're just people you don't know online, make it clear that they're safe with you and you will fight for them. Know that when you're here, you are building community here for them, for us. Happy Pride. Remember that we have a right to exist. We have a right to take care of each other. We should not have to earn the right to grow our own food, build our own homes, take care of each other, collect and clean our own water. The more that we can gain those skills in little bits with joy and creativity and fun, the more we're going to be able to build the futures we need together now and get as many people out of the present horrors without losing them as possible into those new or very ancient, really, systems of community care. So anything you can do, even if it's taking care of yourself, is fighting against the impending, growing domination and devastation. And that matters. It does matter. It matters. Because if we don't do those things, the only people who survive are those who already have all the power and privilege. We need to be there to right the next world, and we need to do it now. Thank you to everyone in LA for galvanizing and moving the souls and bodies of so many. There are a lot of us. We want to take care of each other. I've got you. Go plant a peanut. I'll see you next week here on Disabled Farm School, where gardening and staying alive and feeling safe with your family are for everybody. And we are trying so hard to figure out how together. I love you. Woo! What did I just say? Genuinely, it's like, I don't even know. I went to improv yesterday for the first time in 6 months. It was so fun. And then I got in the car afterwards. I hadn't been feeling well enough to do it, and I finally went. And it was so fun. It was so great. It was the queer improv jam. I got in the car after and was like, you know that thing where you don't remember anything you said in a social situation, but you're sure all of it was wrong? I totally did that. And I was like, I can't remember any of it, so I can't check. I can't check if any of it was bad. You know, sometimes the reality of the brain fog symptom, the cognitive symptoms, is we can't check. We are out of control, and it's scary. So if you're experiencing that, I feel you. Even those of us who are super outgoing, we still have that. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna go water the peanuts. Bye.